Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
Thank God it's Friday. I'm Kayode Kishode.
Welcome to the show.
Ayo Makinde.
Well, yeah, so much politicking going on. But then the NCDC, the PTF, yes, they've been talking about different things. I know the last time out, they were not exactly sure after having postponed the initial opening date for the airlines and then the interstate border, because that is, well, it has to go hand in hand, because they thought, look, there's no point allowing flights and then interstate lockdown still exists, however you want to describe it, because yes, there's some movements across board, but because the figures are not going down in any way whatsoever. So at this point in time, yes, they did release the latest figures, as always, by the NCDC, and we got 594 new cases. So Lagos still topping all of those, but some of the states, interestingly, recording high figures as well. Delta recording 106, Ondo recording 44. Well, Edo, they've got 34 cases. And, well, I haven't seen some of these other states. Well, look at that. Imo's got 22, Kaduna, Kano. But it's, well, much as we still don't have from that trajectory when it will peak before it then steadies for a bit and then begins to drop. But yes, there's a lot of community transmission going on at the moment, but there's still questions. And then more importantly, we keep talking about the capacity of our health sector to handle some of these challenges, as it were. And in the season that we're in now, are there chances that, look, you still will see this a lot more? You just wonder.
Especially when you have questions about when we'll reach our peak. I think there's a strategy here. I may be wrong, but you hardly hear anyone, especially in the PTF, say, this is when we'll reach our peak. Is it a tactic not to, just allow people throw guards away and say, okay, if we're going to reach our peak in July, so from July, I'm going to stop wearing my face masks, I'm going to stop, maintaining physical or social distance. So yes, we don't know when we will peak, but if you take a look at the progression across the weeks, from February the 27th, when we recorded our very first case, the Italian, who was our index case, you see that gradually we have, risen from week, if you see between week 12 and 13, for example, see there was just less than 50 difference, week 13 and 14, about 600 difference. But the interesting part is, week 16 and 17, we just ended, by the way, there was just, little difference compared to the usual 600. So are we gradually reaching that point when we'll start, dipping? Well, not quite sure. I think it's too early to say, but that is the progression we've had over the couple of weeks. And it's very important to reiterate the fact that, well, we should not throw away caution. I watched the primaries, for example, in Edo State, and I saw people holding hands, and I thought, wait, is this an old video or a recent video? So if we have things like that, being shown by leaders, for example, it begs the question, what kind of example are we setting? So this is not a time to let down our guards, because the battle is still on.
The public event that you talked about just brings to mind one important thing in the demographics and the data that the NCDC has released. Yes, yesterday we referenced the fact that 67% of the people that have been affected so far are men and only 33% are women. That should give us some concern, and you would also observe that most of the people that you saw at that event yesterday, even as you can see the progression from the very first day until the present, most of them are men. Most of the people at that event also are men. That's one thing. The second thing is the age range of the people who are most affected. 24% of the people affected that have been infected so far by COVID-19 are between ages 31 and 40. We do not know what happens after they have been discharged. We do not know yet, because as the medical society will tell us, it's a new disease, so we don't know much about it. We seem to be learning on the go. So we don't know what happens after you have recovered from it, what happens in your body in the short term or in the long term. You also recognize that the number of people that are, the speed of discharge is not as quick as the speed at which people are catching it, which is responsible for the number of discharged persons compared to the number of infections that we hear. Right. We get discharges in tens, and we get infection rates in hundreds. That should give us concern. I don't know where we will go from here, but just as Kayode has said, it is not time for us to let our guards down. We don't know much about this thing yet. Everyone is aware of COVID-19, but exactly, there's a lot for us to. We have good reason to be careful. We have very, very good reason to be cautious as we can be. We don't know much about it. We don't know what happens after recovery. We don't know much about this thing. So we really need, every one of us, to take responsibility as has been recommended to us.
All right, so we're back and take a look at some of the dailies in just a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back. Let's start with Nigerian Tribune today. With dissolution of NWC, APC seeks redemption. There's a big one they've got here. Your big governor, Buni heads caretaker committee, Udoede secretary. NEC affirms Izeyamu's candidacy in Edo. All cases ordered withdrawn from courts. We shall be guided by lawyers, ETA. APC headquarters comes alive after early morning blockade. Why Buni's choice is strategic. The ACN, CPC tendencies, and then how governors bounced back. So that is the big one you see on the front page this morning. Then, unfortunately, Ajimobi dies at 70. Buhari, Makinde, Tinubu, Akala, governors mourn Oyo to fly flag at half-mast. That's what you see right here this morning. IBEDC, Kaduna Electric, others to increase tariff July 1st. Yeah, you know the backstory concerning this one, which has been happening for a while now. So July 1st may be that date. Who knows? Well, look at the back page. Liverpool break EPL jinx with 7 games to go. Wow, so they are champions of England. And so, yeah, those ribbons right there are going to turn blue. So that is Tribune this morning.
Well, if you take a look at Vanguard, the big story, of course, APC crisis. Why Buhari moved against Oshiomhole, that's how the Vanguard puts it today. Yeah, you see, NEC dissolves NWC. Yobe governor, May Buni now caretaker and convention committee chair. There's extraordinary there somewhere in that committee's name. Party members to withdraw pending litigations. Ratifies Izeyamu for Guba polls. What's in this one? NWC dissolution not targeted at Tinubu, apparently. A lot of people were saying, well, this is targeted at him. But the governor of Yobe says, no, it is not targeted at him nor anyone. As ex-NWC members more legal options. Recall that part of the resolutions was that, all pending litigations be withdrawn. But, the resolution didn't say new litigation should not be, taken to the court. So
shouldn't that even suggest that, look, let's sheath all swords for now and see how we can make progress?
There's a little area where you can just slide in, but you know what? It's still an ongoing drama unfolding in the APC. People are saying maybe peace will reign. Some say, well, not quite. But we'll see how it plays out. APC governors, founding groups, other power blocks battle for APC soul ahead of 2023. When you say APC soul, it's interesting. And you see the big picture on the front page shows that APC NEC meeting and the outcome of it. But right under that, COVID-19, FG mulls another lockdown as cases rise. There's some that will say that might not be possible anymore, but there you go. It's on page 8, and you'll understand why. The cases are rising, fatalities. We don't want to see that rise even further. Edo, Obaseki emerges PDP candidate to face Izeyamu. That's on page 20. That news came in quite late yesterday. for a primary that was meant to start at 10 a.m. As at 10 p.m., things were not even concluded yet. But you know what? That's the outcome of that primary. And right on top of the nameplate, this sad one, Buhari, Tinubu, Fahimi, Makinde, others mourn as ex-Oyo governor Ajimobi dies at 70. It's on page 10. And right next to that, you see sympathizers at his home in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. Well, let's see what's making rounds. The back page, sports. Let me see if I can look for any other story.
Why are you avoiding the
there
one?
you go. Liverpool are England's 2019-2020 league champions. I'm sorry. I could have missed that, you know. It's been a long time coming, 30 years. Even COVID-19 could not stop this. So, yeah, they are the new champions of England after 30 years, 3 decades. Man, what a fight. And, you know, a couple of other stories. Trouble for...
There's some lesson, some life lesson right there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Never give up. And trouble for Igalo as Man U bid for Richarlison. People are saying maybe he should have gone to China. Now he's back. Rashford and other players are back. So you wonder what will be the fate of Igalo. But let's leave it there for Vanguard this morning.
How will that affect his pay anyway? I don't know. The Guardian newspaper is next and leads with, of course, the same trending story. APC may disintegrate. Buhari warns, sacks NWC. You know, a lot of talk about who sacked NWC. Was it the president or the APC NEC? Well, perhaps it depends on what side of the divide you are, but it's been explained that it's the National Executive Council committee meeting that validated the suggestion of Mr. President. How Boni governors outplayed Tinubu. Presidency explains national leaders' absence. INEC blasts lawyers over conflicting court orders.
Oh, really?
Well, that's the way I didn't write the headline. Party chieftains.
Yeah, you read it.
Party chieftains, others hail committee's dissolution.
Why are they blasting lawyers? I just wonder.
Well, I don't know. You know, there was this notification written by the APC, signed by only one person, as opposed to 2 persons that ought to sign, the chairman and the national secretary. Only the secretary signed it, so INEC said, take it back.
So maybe...
So what?
Okay.
That's just one. But that's not about the court orders. Perhaps, of course, you know, litigations have also always gotten in the way of electoral processes, which was the reason we've all been talking about
So what are the
electoral
courts supposed to do, or the lawyers? Don't accept clients' brief when they come.
Is
Or
it-
when they get to courts don't attend to them.
You
when
know,
they
I've
come.
always asked that question from some of our guests here. Why, you guys know the law. Why are you doing this?
But the law...
And they
Yeah,
all-
but that's why the courts are there.
You shouldn't shut the temple of justice to anyone. Everybody should have access. But I think what's good is the fact that the Federal High Court, Abuja, has said that, you know, stop granting ex parte orders for political matters because...
They've said that for donkey years.
Yeah, I mean, they said in 2018, but apparently they need to say it again, so we keep this
Is
in
there a
front of them.
law against ex parte orders? No, so let's move on.
Whoa. Let's move on.
Court orders, court OKs is a Yamus membership as hundreds dump party for PDP. Our story continues on page 6 from the front page. That picture is, of course, of the APC NEC meeting that took place yesterday. And some people are even asking a question, wait a minute, why should this meeting of a political party happen in the State House? Another conversation entirely.
And the point to the fact that, I mean, the handles of a government were used to announce the outcome of that particular meeting. Nigeria's what's it called again? Our Minister of Justice was one that swore in the head of this extraordinary committee. He was actually the one that, you know, tendered the oath of office for him. So a lot of questions around those issues, but I mean, that has happened.
Maybe again, another thing for lawyers to contend with. COVID-19 disruptions may raise cancer, HIV, TB cases, deaths globally. That definitely is something of concern to look at. The story continues on page 6. And of course, the Ghana story is right under that story as well. FG delighted as Ghana offers to rebuild diplomatic structure. You know, a lot of talk on that one. I guess we'll look at
You're
it later.
delighted.
Well, at least taking responsibility?
What's the delight about? Should they be delighted?
Well, we better find out along with, of
Or
course,
maybe it's the
story.
newsmen that
Captioned it that
had
way.
to come up with that, but I don't know about being delighted.
The back page has sports. LMC has failed Nigerians, says Paul Bassey. Sports Ministry not part of NFS stakeholders meeting. Find out who said that on the back page along with others. Arteta wins first away game as Arsenal beats Southampton 2-0. More on the back page of The Guardian this morning.
Well, take a look at Daily Trust next. APC crisis. Shomalist camp mauls court action as Buni takes charge. And then the riders are party heading for collapse. Buhari. Lawyers differ on NWC dissolution. How will run party? You'll be governor. ETA suspended. So all of those just unfolding thick and fast, as it were. So yeah, and then you can see the picture of the APC caretaker committee chairman, Governor Maimala Buni of Yobe, being sworn in by Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, during the virtual party's National Executive Committee meeting presided by President Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential Villa in Abuja yesterday. The paper captions in that way. And then just above that, bandits attack 2 Katsina villages and kill 7. So still lots of concern and focus about security in the country, in the region. So keeping an eye too on the service chiefs and see the new strategy of theirs, how that is going to unfold. Police make mockery of anti-torture law, says Amnesty International. So who knows if they're going to be releasing some new information about some of these things as they are playing themselves out. And a bit of encouraging one here at the bottom. Nigerian startups get UK grants for COVID-19 invention. Good to hear that some inventions are getting a look in this regard. So that will not be a bad idea.
Yeah, I don't know how that also tailors into that conversation that the NAFDAC DG started with some people trying to look for local solutions for this issue, along with others that we may be having.
Oh, okay. Well, if it works, it works. So it won't be a bad idea. I think some other dailies even talk about INEC asking the NBA to prioritize country's interests above individual ones. That's a different perspective from INEC blasts. What? What? So,
Lawyers.
So there you go. That's Daily Trust this morning.
Okay, let's take a look at Leadership Friday for you. The big story. PMB reads Riot Act as Yobe governor takes over APC leadership. Serious consequences await recalcitrant members. It's coming from the president. That's right. Members of the party. Right. An APC state chairman backs sack of NWC. Again, it's Obaseki versus Ize-Iyamu for Edo governorship race. But you know, you said?
This time on a reverse platform.
All right. So, you know, just the brand of politics that we have, quite intriguing. INEC clears 15 political parties for election. I believe that's the Edo election. And Ondo monarchs endorse Akeredolu for second term. That's, you find more details on page 4 of the Daily this morning. And you see that lockdown story from the PTF saying, it is time for another lockdown, PTF declares. So, you know, some say we might be going into another lockdown, but leadership says it is time for another lockdown. And you wonder what that would look like. I can imagine a lot of people shaking their heads. And some saying, well, maybe that's the right direction to go. But one thing is clear, we need to get the buy-in of everyone, whatever the case may be. Everybody needs to buy in some way or the other. And you see, submits reports to president on Sunday. Whew, you wonder what the outcome of that will be. And right on top, or right under the picture, you see COVID-19, Niger State reduces tax rate to ease businesses. Commendable, you might say, especially because a lot of businesses have had to go through hard times. But there will be some other people that saying, well, you need to do more regarding that. But find more details on page 2. Buhari nominates FCT Chief Judge for International Criminal Court position. This has been quite some time. I heard from the ICC. Now we have the potential of a Nigerian heading the ICC this time around. And you see that one, Ghana to rebuild demolished Nigerian mission. So it was rebuilding that building, rebuilding the ties, or the fractured diplomatic ties, as you might call it, especially because you find a lot of other Nigerians, traders especially, saying they've had some hard times in recent times. So we hope that also rebuilds, those relationships.
Even though, many, I think National Assembly, the House of Reps, they had a conversation on the matter the other time, and then they thought there's got to be a lot more, than some of those actions. And then reciprocity principle. They are suggesting a review of such that a lot more people will take us a lot more seriously.
Yeah.
Because before you have one other African country, just do certain things, and you just ask yourself, how in the world did we get here?
And it's a gradual thing. Some said China, South Africa, Ghana, and you wonder what is next. One thing is sure. I know the Minister of Foreign Affairs tried to say, well, we've sorted this, okay, so let's move on. But you understand that, yes, at that level, they may have sorted it, but there are individuals, businesses, and people that still have issues to be resolved. So it will be good to carry them along.
The citizens won't move on that easy. Yeah. Even citizens of both countries won't move on that easy. Yeah. It's not as easy as they say it sometimes.
There was something that the Speaker of the House of Representatives said that, look, if this was an American embassy, would anyone have dared? And that speaks volumes, because Nigeria has no doubt played that big brother role on this continent for many years, intervening in regional and continental conflict. And then it speaks volumes about the image, the perception that other countries have of Nigeria. And that's something that if we are going to look at the principle of reciprocity, I think we should look at some other things more serious. So, ab initio, don't go there.
Well, I think African countries need to do a lot more amongst themselves to improve, above all else, their economic relationships, and ensure that those things are sorted properly, because you can't begin to look at the impediments that are there as to why it's a lot more difficult to do business within African countries. Is it via the air? Is it even land borders? Even in ECOWAS, where certain things are supposed to be, but you don't find those things. So
you talk
so
about
much going on.
Government to government, but you also mentioned the other time
even individuals.
The individuals now, it's moving on in the conversations within individuals that I think is even a lot more important than what you just said.
Yeah. So there you go. That is it. We'll look at some of the dailies here this morning. We'll be back and take a look at what are those things that played out yesterday. How did, who was, when will. Okay. Join us again. Welcome back. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of those developments that played out within the APC yesterday. Well, now here in our studios, we've got Mr. Tunde Bankantoni. He's a member of the APC and a former DG, Lagos State Sports Commission. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
All right. And then we also do have joining us via Skype, Honorable Samson Osage, former Minority Whip. Good morning, Honorable. Thank you for joining us again today as well.
Chamberlain, thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's take a look, delve into this. I mean, the different views. One of the is such that I think the Bulama group, the secretary at that time, he's written a letter saying, look, they're studying all of what has happened. They were looking for advice from their lawyers, but initially they did maintain that certain things just didn't go right, particularly concerning this meeting which held yesterday. Tell us, how did you feel?
Well,
what happened?
It's a very welcome development. Like you could see in the past few weeks, the party has been in total disarray within itself, right? And we know the leader of the party is the president of the Republic of Nigeria. APC is party in government, right? So when push comes to shove, the president step out and did the right thing. Otherwise, this party will self-destruct because of personal agenda that has nothing to do with what they're talking about. Ajumabi is gone, just like that. Kari is gone, just like that. Nobody would tell you that Ajumabi will die yesterday. May God rest his soul. It was 70 how many years ago? How many months ago? So it's not about what we envisage. Let's deal with reality on the ground now. And the man came out yesterday and he did the right thing. And the right thing will never be good enough for some people. When you say
personal interests, whose?
What happened in Edo State, right? What happened in Lagos State about a year or two ago, right? What is happening now in Ondo State? What is happening even within the NEC? Where are we going? Who is sure of life tomorrow? So for me, I'm very philosophical about issues. I'm very direct. I'm an APC member, but independent APC member.
What?
Independent?
Nothing like that. That is me today by Anthony. I have my own views.
Okay.
I mean, I have my own views. I look at things the way I deem it right.
Well, let's take the opening comments of Honorable Samson Osage. You are aware of this meeting, first of all, from all that's, has gone on, all the conversation, all the confusion about whether or not the meeting should hold, the people that agree or do not agree that it should hold. What's your own take?
Well, thank you very much, Tambale and his crew. I want to thank you for having me. What happened yesterday at the NEC meeting convened in the villa is received or has been received with mixed reactions. And for me, I want to believe that Mr. President can best be described as having invoked the doctrine of necessity to step into the protracted crisis within the party. I say doctrine of necessity because there are so many fundamental flaws legally with respect to the processes leading to the convening of that meeting. But as an organ of the party, the National Executive Committee of the party has enormous powers under Article 13, to summon such meeting and create committees as it may deem fit for the purpose running the party. It is the principal executive organ of the party. Because those who created the crisis wanted a situation like this so as to create a fait accompli for the leadership of the National Working Committee. Because the National Working Committee under Comrade Adams Oshomole did their best. And apart from a few renegades within that committee, the majority of that National Working Committee were quite cohesive in their actions and in their activities of the party. A few people who were looking into the future when they did not know what tomorrow holds, like my friend in the studio said, Senator Ajimobi is gone now. Who knows about tomorrow? And the permutations, I dare say, the permutations for the next presidential elections is what has actuated this whole crisis in order to ensure that the NWC does not function as it should function. However, Mr. President, leading other members of the National Working Committee, principally the governors, they have taken a step towards resolving the crisis. And I believe that the party will give itself relief at this point, especially against the background that it has warned that no party member should necessarily involve the party in litigations, because that alone is a recipe for a party to disintegrate.
Oh, could you shed some light on that? What do you mean a recipe to disintegrate? Telling people not to go to court or what?
No, the constitution of the party. You see, Chamberlain, when you subscribe to the constitution of a party, and that is why in several cases the court have said there are internal issues of the party that the court shouldn't involve itself. It is not for people not to seek redress in court, but for people to, for instance, go to court to ask for an order compelling them to do certain things, compelling them to convene a national executive meeting, an order for giving them powers to act in a capacity that they ordinarily should not act. And then the judiciary is according them those type of requests. You know, it's a recipe for crisis. Every Dick and Harry can take that opportunity across the country and take the party to court. And you know the implications of litigation in an organization. Litigation doesn't bring about cohesion. It doesn't bring about harmony. When everybody resort to court, litigation, that will kill the soul of the party. And in all of this, just check out the entire National Working Committee. Only 1 or 2 people were involved in all of these activities. The national chairman himself has been very law-abiding. He never took the party to court. Ditto for many of the National Working Committee members. So those who lend themselves to be used by external forces to destabilize the working of the National Working Committee that was dissolved yesterday were those who wanted to create a situation of a fait accompli, such as we found ourselves, that has made the president and some other leaders of the party, particularly the governors, to take the step they take. And I say that they have done so more or less under the doctrine of necessity, not legally speaking, because, like I said, there are a lot of landmines when it comes to looking at the circumstances and the procedure that was used to convene that meeting. But party members must ensure that they are disciplined and obey the rules and regulations of the party. That is how a party can grow.
Well, it suggests he's saying that, look, if they went to court,
yes,
benefited from the rulings of the court to get to this level, how then do you tell people not to go to court if they feel, hard done by?
Well, it is not the court that led to this level.
No, he's saying that, look, for the fact that the court did ask Yadom to acting chairman, then extended it, upon which they predicated that NEC meeting and then got to this level.
The president stepped in at the right time, right? The president stepped in at the right time. The governors wanted it. All our governors were at that meeting yesterday. The leaders of the National Assembly were there at the meeting, and the NEC members were there. You know, NWC is not an organ of the party. It's a creation for a purpose. It's a vehicle. So when the NEC decided to meet, and they did, right, whoever called that meeting, right, the president was there, the president hosted the meeting, you understand me, and the credibility is based on Mr. President. I'm not here to say, oh, it's Gadom that called the meeting, or it's Oshomodi. No way.
But he called the meeting.
The point is that the president hosted the meeting at the end of the day. That is the bottom line.
But what about the letter? Have you seen the letter written, signed by Hilad Etta and Waziri Bulama, when they did say that, look, Article 25B of the Constitution of the party is explicit that only the national chairman or the National Working Committee can summon such a meeting, and then you have a minimum of 14 days. It's an emergency, 7 days. They thought that all of that wasn't complied with, and so the basis of that meeting was not right.
So they want to go to court. They are free to. The president has advised that let's suspend all these issues of going to court, because this will destroy the party. You should look back. Look back very well. May God rest Ajimobi's soul. He was a fine gentleman, a politician that asserted himself. You remember when he became a senator? He was not an AD member, was not a PDP member, was an APP member, just like Amosu, right? When Lai Mohammed was National Publicity Secretary and he became a minister, who replaced him? Only who replaced him from Kwara. Clearly. That was very clear. The other person, right, that was a national member, that when he left the position, who replaced him? Another person from that state replaced him. When Muiz left, Ogala replaced him from Lagos State. When Niyi Adebayo left as national vice chairman, Who was told to replace him? Right? Late Chief Ajimobi from Oyo State. That's the fundamentals that you have to look at, right? And you see, I look back to all these scenarios, right? I can only remember, maybe when you subject party chairmen to election, like the days of the Second Republic, very well, that they will go for a true convention and they will be voted for like a candidate, that they will realize the importance of their job.
Is it just about being replaced or the process of replacement?
The process of replacement, the process of internal democracy, internal affairs should be made clear.
But that one is. Let me take this up with
Yes.
Honorable Samson, because that's one of the questions that Chamberlain just asked now about the process of convening this meeting. There are provisions in the Constitution of the APC that is supposed to be within 14 days, 7 days if it's an emergency. But this one was done under less. And as a matter of fact, we spoke with an APC state chairman yesterday who said he didn't have any idea that such a meeting was going to hold. And he was supposed to be a part of it as a member of NEC. So do you, in your opinion, maybe from what our guest here is saying, say that the end justifies the means, or the means is as important as the end?
Yeah, I have said before that that meeting yesterday can best be described as founded on the doctrine of necessity, because like the point you just raised now, it raises fundamental questions as to legal basis upon which that meeting was called. But as party members who desire a strong political organization, I think that the decision of NEC yesterday has to be binding, regardless of those flaws. Because if you dig into that and then begin to look into the legality or otherwise of the actions and the processes, then we'll be back to square one. For us, especially those of us in the Edo, we desire a political party that is stable both at the national and the state, in order for us to confront the next election coming up shortly. So I said earlier that there are legal issues to be looked into. But the stage we are now, Mr. President, who is the leader of the party in the country, has stepped out, convened a meeting of NEC meeting, however so called, and then far-reaching decisions have been made. And I believe that the members of the National Working Committee who worked tirelessly to save the soul of the party and ensure that illegalities were not condoned by some few members of the NWC who led themselves to external manipulations do not succeed. Have also done well, they have paid their prices. So I believe that going forward, we need to have a situation where we will implement the decisions of the NEC meeting in order to ensure cohesion. Definitely, I agree with those who say that there are legal issues, fundamental ones at that, about the way and manner the meeting was convened. And I do not want to go into details, otherwise it will be reopening some other ones.
But don't you think that, okay, you want to say something?
When you say, there are legal issues, you understand me? What are the legal issues? Like my friend said from Abuja, that this is necessity and about common sense. NWC did their bit, they work, and you could see what they've done so far was ratified by that meeting. The president gave them kudos. People came in and said, Godom said, oh, I will cancel Edo State primaries, I will do this, I will do that. Do you understand me? At the end of the day, what has played out is the president stayed with the party. And what you have done so far, you have done well, but this is where you stop, and let's move forward. That is the bottom line. So people, you see, the point is that, I remember when President Jide said a few days ago that he doesn't know the role usually always gets themselves into in politics. June 12, along the line, if you read the script very well, you see them pulling the judiciary in. This manner as well, you see them pulling the judiciary in. Do you understand? And we know that anywhere in the world, the best politicians are lawyers. So why are you always trying to properly distract the focus? I mean, it's so sad that people come, even from yesterday list already, oh, they are anti-Bola Tinubu, oh, they are anti-Oshomole, oh, they are pro this or they are pro that. And I said, is that the meaning you take to this?
But
Is
people will always read meanings to what they want to read meanings to.
The point is
and
that,
you just said something now.
Yes.
Just the best politicians are lawyers.
Yes.
And lawyers take whatever point, whatever side of the divide that they want
Yes.
at any given time. So what do you then say to those who are already pitching these tents? Because as far as they are concerned, it is clear.
what is clear? What is clear? That it's obvious that the party is in crisis, and this will have continued. And I could see some people saying that, oh, they are going to court. I mean, this is not binding on them. All sorts of things are coming out. But the point is that I believe, I'm a politician, I'm a realist. They are hot air. It's full of hot air. The president has spoken, and that is the final thing he has said. Right? We are moving forward. We have an election in September in Edo State, in Ondo State. Is our house in order? Are we going to go there united or divided about this thing?
Now, if the party could, for want of a better word, suspend the constitution, because, I mean, certain provisions of the APC constitution were, kept in abeyance in this doctrine of necessity, as you both gentlemen have said. What's the assurance that these things won't still continue, won't open up in some other cases? Because as far as those people who are aggrieved are concerned, certain specific provisions of your party constitution have been set aside.
Okay, the NEC, what I was going to say about NEC, is supposed to meet every quarter. Where was the last time they met? So don't let's go there. Don't let's go there. Don't let's go there. Don't let's go there. The point is that the president, hey, he can look them to self-destroy. He's got the second term. But he's trying to leave a legacy that this party made me president, right? I will not let it scatter. That's the bottom line. But if you believe that it's anti-anybody, the intention of Bola Tinubu to contest for presidency, to more than him, a lot of people around him want him more than they wanted him to be there. He's a realist. He's a realist. Period. He's not somebody that you can push. He knows their intention. The youngest one, he knows their intention. He knows what they want. And he's a very experienced politician. That some of them will still turn back. The so-called kitchen cabinet, when push comes to shove, you will see them at the other side of the table. That is what it's all about.
Well, Honorable Osage, part of what was said at that meeting too is that no law has been broken here, because they said, look, this NEC meeting was a continuation of where they left off the last time, and so they don't see first if any law has been broken whatsoever. Do you disagree or agree with that?
I think the answer to that has already been established by my earlier statement, that the entire process leading to that meeting could best be described as based on necessity. I heard the explanation that the meeting was held in due deference to the earlier notice that was issued by Giadon as at March, February. And they forget that the Lagos Federal High Court, as at then, had issued an order preventing them from holding that meeting. So that notice has ceased to be valid anyway. And for me, I do not want to go into the legal issues at all, because there are so many. What is important at this stage is for the party to come back and then reunite themselves under the new leadership. Although for us in Edo, we are at great pace to have our leader, Comrade Adams Oshomole, abruptly removed from office by a process for which he did not contribute to making it happen. But that's life for you. Nothing lasts forever, not even our troubles. Troubles must come to an end at some point. So I do not agree that the notice for that meeting was proper enough to be grounded under the constitution of the party. But we accept that the necessity and the exigencies of the moment requires that Mr. President, who is the leader of the party, can intervene. And he has done so with other leaders of the party, the sub-national levels. We have to move forward. What is important is we move forward.
Okay, because I was going to ask, I mean, now that you say they have to move on, does that suggest that whichever group that is considering taking any legal action should consider the fact that, well, they ratified what transpired in Edo and says, well, look, we have to move on from there, come together and ensure the party wins. So should that weigh heavily on the minds of those people and then they move on rather than see how they could seek redress?
I think so, because like my friend in the studio said, the ratification of the decisions of the National Working Committee, as led by Comrade Adams Ushumole and then later Senator Ajimobi via Hilliard Etta, by the NEC meeting of yesterday, has already given a sign that the activities and their work was recognized. And to that extent, it is a pat on their back by Mr. President and the NEC committee. So I believe that is already a vote of confidence on them. But for the plectoria of litigations that have docked the activities of the party, NEC and Mr. President have to take the decision. So I am sure, because like someone said that they are looking at the papers and they are getting advice from their lawyers.
All right. Gentlemen, we'll come back to this conversation when we return from this break in just a moment. Please stay with us. All right, welcome back, Mr. Bankantini. Looking at some of these things and the way the events are played out, yes, you're suggesting people should not read meanings into all of this, but that's going to be incredibly difficult, how people will not read any meanings into this.
Well, I mean, what I know from here is that a lot of people believe that Asiwaju Tinubu will run for president in 2023. And he has said so many times through his press officer, Tunde Rahman, that most people are going out there doing souvenirs, trying to run for president. The man has not made a statement to that effect. I don't know who else has been in the news like that. And you look at the Amechi, I mean, if APC said it is now being zoned to the south, it's not mandatory. Buhari faced Okorosha, he faced Atiku, he faced this guy who owns the Daily Trust at the primaries, right? I remember OBJ's second term, he faced the Kweme, he faced Gemade, he faced Rimi. So I mean, the whole idea is that a lot of people believe they can be Nigerian president. But there's a process to it, to achieving that aim we all desire. But if you now look at it and say, oh, it is against Bola Tinubu, already you are letting me feel like, oh, Bola Tinubu is my leader now. Why would this be against him? The people who are there, most of them have worked with him. You have AC people there who are now APC. You have new APC people there who've been with him. It's a melting pot that I believe will take us forward. And I think, I believe Asiwaju sees beyond that. So, and people who are cooking all this, oh, we are going to go to court. I mean, before the end of today, you will see all sorts of different opinions coming out. And it's going to happen. And they're going to come up with different kind of cookies they want to cook.
So when you say that he hasn't said anything about all of those souvenirs or speculation,
yes,
and then you give that example of people facing other people within the party, is that to say that, well, there's nothing wrong if he wants to contest, and then if anybody else wants to contest alongside him, they can face each other?
That is politics, of course. If I what it takes, they are speculating, Aregbesola is interested, I'm making interested. Why not? If not, why? It's not a monarchy. The field is open to anybody to contest an election.
So you say there is a possibility?
Of course, there's a possibility. There's a possibility, because what else, what next will he do? Will he continue to be the oracle in Lagos? It could be the oracle of Nigeria. So that is it. But there's a process to it. It's not a la carte, like actually will tell you.
What do you say to those who think, isn't it too early in the day to begin to talk about 2023?
That's why I said the anger's horn. That's why I call them anger's horn. People who all they do to sit down and permutate and suggest and speculate and give you an idea that you yourself know is not visible. Okay, don't worry. Okay, thank you very much. I hear you. That is what is going on now. Oshomole has done his bit. That is now history. We are moving ahead.
Isn't he supposed to play a role in Edo elections?
Oshomole, what role? To vote? He only has one vote. He has concluded his job. We have a candidate there already.
He's a former governor.
So?
And a former national chairman.
So?
Shouldn't that give him some clout?
Oyegun was a governor of that same state and a former national chairman of that same of this party. So don't let's give unnecessary attention to what is not. He's a national chairman. He was a national chairman. End of story. He was a governor. End of story. We have a governor there now, right? We should have a national chairman very soon. So it's not something that is permanent, not even live.
Well, Honorable Osage, is this the way you see these developments concerning Comrade Oshomole?
Comrade Adams Oshomole is a political enigma. We have continued to respect his leadership on account of his ability to root out the opposition party as at 2008. Perhaps no other person has been able to do that in any of the states in the South. It was through his candidature that the opposition party made inroad into the South. So it's not sufficient to dismiss him like every other former governor. But I agree that he was a former governor. Governor is now former national chairman. But the truth of the matter is that he impacts more positively on the state and its people, and they have continued to remember him. But let me lend credence to the points he made about people positioning themselves for 2023 on account of which people are taking various steps. I do not understand why people will be hysterical about who will contest for presidency in 2023 and who will not. And like he said, going down his memory lane, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo ran for primaries at the convention in Jos in 1998. He ran for another convention in 2003. And Yaradua ran the convention against other party members. Even President Buhari ran against other party members in Lagos convention in 2014. So the stage is not closed, the space is not closed. And I believe, like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said in the past, 2023 is rather too far for people to begin to position themselves and destabilize the party institution in order to have an inroad into what will give them advantage in 2023. Who knows who will get there? Senator Ajimobi was alive a few days ago, but today he's no more. He probably had ambition. So I agree with him totally that it is very wrong, it is ungodly for people to use ambitions for future to begin to cause a crisis, as we have been beginning to see in the APC.
Does that take away anything from maybe the oomph that the party was going to go into Edo State elections with? Because, I mean, yesterday, if you listen to some of the comments made on the grounds while the PDP were campaigning, they were referencing what they had seen in Abuja, thinking that the grog had been swept off Comrade's feet, and as such, now the PDP should be on smooth sailing. Is that the way you see it? Is it going to affect how the elections go, perhaps the chances of the APC?
I want to assure you that that will not be the situation. In Edo State, we already have a candidate, and the party is united behind that candidate. Comrade Adams Oshomole is a force to reckon with in Edo State politics. So let PDP wait in the next few days and see what will hit them. It is not Uhuru for them yet that they have a current governor as their candidate. More is yet to come. The last is yet to be heard about PDP primaries, and I will not go into details. But I want to assure you that the APC in Edo State has since fully recovered since the defection of the governor, and we are on the path to retrieving the state back into the coffers of the APC in the September 2020 elections. Don't forget that NEC ratifying the decision, the primaries that was conducted in Edo State, is a clear indication that the party would not like to lose that state. And all hands has to be on deck, and I believe it will be on deck in order to ensure that Edo does not slip this time. It's a collective responsibility. The opposition party, at least at the federal level, which is the PDP, can begin to dream, but we will do our work in order to ensure that victory comes the way of our candidate.
Well, what do you say to those people who believe that there are still factions in the APC in Edo State, given that some of them still have allegiance to the governor who has moved to another political party, who may, one way or another, work against the fortunes of APC in the coming elections?
Well, the truth of the matter, Chamberlain, is that as we speak today, those who were campaigning for the former governor and who were holding one party position or the other, were even removed, are staying behind in order to sabotage the APC. And the party already recognizes them, and the party will deal with their issue appropriately. So as we speak, there is no faction, because all those who factionalize the party have moved to the PDP with Governor Obaseki. That is their candidate. They are remaining in the APC at the moment. Is only intended to cause more crisis, inflict more injury on the party, and the party will not allow that. They have been identified up to their word, and the party is doing everything possible to checkmate their activities and deal with their menace as time goes on.
As enigmatic as you said the former national chairman is of the APC, he still remains suspended as a member of his party. What do you say? How does that, solidify this unity that you have said? Some party members say that he has been reintegrated. Another party, another faction says he still remains suspended.
Well, you should understand that with yesterday's decision, all that have gone into the wind, they no longer matter anymore. There are people you talk about being suspended, and then you think that that will have any impact. As a matter of fact, Comrade Adams Oshomole for us was never suspended. Because like I said in my previous interview, that the purported suspension of Comrade Adams Oshomole by 8 persons from Ward 10 in Esako West is the most ridiculous political action that has ever received judicial support in this country. How can 8 people in a ward executive suspend the national chairman of the party, and then they went all the way, to receive judicial support? And I know that can never hold any water. 17 out of the 26 members of the executive have since said that they were not privy, they were not part to that. What is democracy? Is it not the rule of majority? So as far as I'm concerned, if democracy is the rule of majority, Comrade Adams Oshomole enjoys the support of the majority of the APC members who did not follow Governor Obaseki to the PDP. So those who are clamoring for his continued suspension are already PDP, in their heart, and then pretending to remain APC in body, because they cannot go to PDP and remain floor members when they are executive members of the APC. So we understand what is going on. We understand the politics that is being played. And like I told you, we are fishing them out, and we will check their menace right up to their unit level as we go into the next round of campaigns and elections.
Does that then mean that the party in Edo State will subject themselves to the leadership of Mr. Ojezwa?
It's not possible. Ojezwa has since been suspended, don't forget. And his suspension was ratified by the National Working Committee. Only yesterday, the NEC meeting had ratified the decision of the National Working Committee with respect to Edo State primaries. And then that extends to all decisions that have been taken leading to this. So Ojezwa is no longer chairman of APC. He is a member of PDP as I speak with you. Governor Obaseki is his candidate. So the party and the caretaker committee must look into that seriously before inviting Ojezwa for party matters. He cannot be a member and a chairman of this party because his candidate is already Governor Obaseki in PDP. You can't be chairman in APC and they have a candidate in PDP. That is the height of anti-party and the height.
Well, last time we spoke to him, He said categorically, in his words, I am the chairman of Edo APC. Unless, of course, we will have to call him back before the show ends and find out if he has now moved to the PDP, as you say, unless you have, is that new information or is something that happened a while ago?
He has always claimed he's chairman. For those of us who are members of this party in Edo State, we know who the chairman of the party is. Upon his suspension by majority of the state executive committee members in Edo State, many months ago, his suspension was ratified by the National Working Committee. Thereafter, he moved to court to challenge his suspension. And the matter is still in court. As we speak, he is battling with the matter in court. He has not gotten any favorable judgment to reverse that. And then he still starts claiming. As we speak, he is at best a political saboteur in the APC. He is already in PDP, claiming to be chairman of APC. And I think this party cannot allow the indiscipline. He is one of those who have dragged this party in Edo State into the state it is today, because he refused to lead as a chairman of party.
That we'll have to get across to him then for him to clarify some of these comments you've made. But if the NEC did say all cases in court should discontinue, so shouldn't we expect that everyone should put machinery, take steps to pull out all those cases from the court and pull together? I'm asking that when I'm asking that the NEC did suggest that, look, the president even said so, that, look, everybody pull together. Shouldn't we expect that all those cases, including the ones you say are in court, they should all go ahead and get those cases out and let everybody pull together in the same party and move ahead together?
I agree with you. I agree with you. We never took the party to court. Aslem Ujezwa and his co-travelers on the Governor Obaseki divide of the party in Edo State were the ones that filed all the actions. So if the proposal of the matter in court is in obedience to what has happened yesterday, but the truth of the matter is that Aslem Ujezwa is no longer a member of this party.
But
man, as we speak, because his candidate in the party is already in PDP.
At the meeting yesterday, he was at the NEC meeting yesterday.
I think that was a misnomer. Those who do not understand the local politics of our state, that is what I was telling you. The man who purportedly convened that meeting has been working hand in hand to sabotage the Edo APC. And that was why they called him for that meeting. For those of us in Edo State, we know that Aslem Ujezwa is already a member of the PDP. That is the truth of the matter. What role did he play in the primaries that we just conducted, that NEC has ratified? He didn't play any role. He didn't participate. Indeed, he said there was no primary. So that is a man already working, to bring the party into odium. His candidate is already a PDP candidate at this stage. All indices point to that fact. They are uncontroverted. Everybody knows. Every politics is local. Those of us in Edo knows that Aslem Ujezwa is already a PDP member, together with his co-travelers, Charles Sidahosa, Governor Obaseki, Philip Shaibu, Ogie, and all of them. We know who are members of APC in Edo as we speak. So calling for a NEC meeting yesterday was the height of ignorance of the local situation in Edo State. He was not supposed to be part of that meeting.
Well, we've just got word that Mr. Ujezwa will be meeting with the NWC this morning, his NWC this morning, and after which he will now make a statement. But Mr. Bank Anthony...
There's no mind WC.
That's what he said. He said he's going to have a meeting this morning and then he'll respond. His own team, so...
Okay, you see, my brother from Edo State is speaking with a lot of emotions. All politics is local. We've come to realize that Obaseki is not a pushover in Edo State politics anymore. And all we need to do is to come together. There must always be a dissenting voice in politics. I don't follow blindly. You must be able to assert yourself when you play this game. So, him talking about the chairman of the party like that in that state, the chairman of the party could be supporting Obaseki on principle. It does not mean he wants his party to lose in Edo State. all politics is local. It will not be where Ojesua will be on election day. The enigma, Chief Oshomole, will not be in Benin on that day. People will hold their own space on that day of election. So I want them to realize that it is not about an individual. How many of us are in APC? Who are we contending with? A whole community. So we should try and realize that Obaseki did not leave the party because he wanted to. He collected the form, did everything possible, and he was humiliated. Period. He was humiliated. And if at the end of the day, whatever problem the party claimed he had in Edo State, that they could not clear him, you understand me? PDP has cleared him. He's not a PDP candidate, right? It's a minus on our part. Period. It is a big. So we should try and manage the whole scenario very well in Edo State.
But from what he said, maybe placing it alongside in consideration of what the president said, that cases should be withdrawn.
Yes.
How easy or difficult do you think this is going to be? Because people really feel strongly about whatever they feel.
See, that is why when you start a problem, or you start an issue, you start a fight, you don't know how it's going to end. There will be a lot of casualties on this part. And at the end of the day, like Yoruba would said, Etoba generally the president has spoken, right? And he has said to us, he did what he did because he wants the party to be won.
Even though you didn't interpret what he said in
Yoruba,
Sorry,
but there's something that he also said.
Yes.
I mean, he is saying,
Yes.
a staunch member of the APC in Edo State
Yes.
is saying that they recognized chairman of the party in his party. They are clearly at variance.
Yes.
How easy is it going to be to bring everybody on board? Because he has also talked about the need for everyone to work together. Now, he is also here now, the first person to say, I'm not agreeing with this person.
You see, the point is that, you see, we have a lot of fundamental problems with our local politics. I'm serious, we have to be sincere. It is now that you have a governor, after his tenure, he wants to be party chairman. He wants to be a senator. 4 years of Second Republic. Quality politics. They made a mistake. Quality politics. You could see Suleiman Takuma, National Secretary. Uba Ahmed left the Senate to face him and became the National Secretary of MPN. Will anybody do that now? Will any senator leave the Senate who realizes the position of a secretary of the party and go for it?
Well, gentlemen, before we wrap up, I mean, some of the observations that people have equally made is that how come, the party meeting held at the council chamber, it was the attorney general that was seen swearing them in. So they thought, wait a minute, was that supposed to be the case?
Well, excuse me. What else would have been the case?
You have a party secretariat.
The party secretariats, you and I know at that point in time, the police had to be there to secure and make sure there's peace there.
That's operating secure. So if the police had secured it, why didn't they have the meeting in the secretariat?
I mean, politics is beyond that. Politics is beyond that. People have premeditation of what they want to do, on how something will not hold. And I believe the president hosting that meeting yesterday gave a lot of credibility. Oh, he went there because Shebali called. No,
But the president has attended meetings at the party secretariat a significant number of times.
Very true.
The question is, why couldn't this also
What was
hold
the
there?
environment then? Was there a contention of who, and like he said, who suspended, who is in charge? Everything was just not right. The moment this scenario happened, the first time it happened, and the moment the chairman was reinstated, the president was with him through all the way. That was what happened.
Honorable Osage, how do you react to this? The fact that meeting held at the State House? Oh dear, I apologize. It seems that we'll have to get him back. But, you know, that question still remains because if that happened, I mean, it's one thing already that the opposition is already picking on.
Yeah.
That definitely isn't speaking good for your party.
What was it? I mean, some people said they would not go. Were they forced? Was there anybody that was invited that did not attend the meeting? To start with?
Okay, let me ask Honorable Osage. Honorable Osage, I hope you've been able to catch some of the conversation that we've had so far. How do you react to it? The fact that the meeting held at the State House, and some people are already raising issues about it.
I don't think there is any, hello, I don't think there is any issue as to the venue of the meeting. The State House is being occupied by a president elected on the platform of the party. I don't think there is an issue at all. After all, the national caucus meetings hold at the state houses, at government houses, party meetings are held. But remarkably, the president and the party have demonstrated a lot of loyalty to the party because a number of some of these meetings have been held in party secretariat. And I think since the life of this party and this government, this is the first time such a meeting was being called at the villa. So for me, it is much ado about nothing. The president is a leader of the party. He is the president of the country. And summoning a meeting at the villa is not an issue at all. There's no constitutional inhibition as to where such meetings can be held, except, of course, like I told you, the processes and the personnel, the dramatic personnel involved in convening the meeting could have some legal key-legs, so to speak. But the venue is irrelevant at this stage.
Well, from what has been said in the NEC meeting, that means we don't expect, not even Comrade can go to court or anybody can go to court to challenge any of these decisions, so they all have to abide by it. That's the assumption. So, all right, gentlemen, we do thank you both for talking to us this morning. Mr. Tunde Bankantini, a member of the party, chieftain in the APC, and the former DG of Lagos State Sports Council, as well as Honorable Samson Osage, former minority whip. Thank you both for talking to us this morning. We will be back in a moment. Stay with us. Okay, so there you go. So there's still lots of questions as to what do we do from here. There's several people who've given some examples about, well, they say even some African countries have announced that we're going to open the airwaves and then people can indeed move around. But there are still questions as to when ours will happen. And then even for the Nigerians who are stranded in Nigeria who work and live abroad, also thinking about what do they do? How do we move on from here? But the PTF is here to figure that out.
I think one of the things that, you know, I remember we had to ask this question of one of our guests recently. I think it was a governor. Please define essential service. If you remember that conversation. Because some of the people who are stranded here in Nigeria are medical practitioners and who would have one service or the other to offer at their places of operation, who can't go because of the international lockdown. How even effective that is, over time is something to be seen. And I'm also wondering how the international lockdown affected those of them, but we can't really figure that out as far as some Chinese doctors are concerned who could come into Nigeria during the international lockdown.
Well, while we wait and see what happens and what kind of decisions they take concerning that one, if it's going to be sooner rather than later. Well, still talking about politics, let's get back to that. Well, we know a lot of focus at the moment is and will be on Edo politics. What happens within both parties? Don't forget, they're not just two political parties, remember. But yes, the one that held their primaries yesterday is the PDP. Remember, Mr. Masogba was at least in the running up until much later yesterday. He joins us on the line this morning. Good morning, Mr. Masogba. Thank you for joining us today. But many wonder, at the end of the day, they thought, well, you just huff and puffing because eventually you had to do what they expected you to do in the first place. Step down.
Well,
What transpired
thanks.
before then?
Good morning, Chamberlain. How are you doing today?
We're good here. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I had to step down, not under duress. Of course, that's what politics is all about. It's a game of tactics and it's a game of the people. I did that just because, one, the party, we needed to make the party stronger. Two, we needed to know that our country first, Nigeria first, Nigeria first. We needed to deepen democracy. That was a very strong and defining moment for politics and politics in Nigeria. So it wasn't about me. Yes, it's about my 16 years of political struggle. Yes, it's about my followership. But again, it's not about me and my followership. It's about Edo people. That's what we need now. I saw in Godwin Obaseki a man who stood tall to fight godfatherism. I'm a victim of godfathers in my political trajectory and history. The Edo people love me with nostalgia. I am one of the people. I belong to the weak of the society. They have identified with them all these years. So for them, they were waiting to pay me back in my, pay back, pay me back. But the godfathers will always stop me. The very few ones, and godfathers are just
all of these things in Mr. Obaseki. When did you notice all these things in Mr. Obaseki? I mean, weren't they always there before you decided to step down, or when you insisted you were not going to step down?
Yeah, I insisted because it was against the normal norms. We must also know that the party was wrong asking Governor Obaseki to jump this ship. But the content, the character content of Obaseki is pure. He's a performing governor. He's worked hard for the state. He was distracted by the godfathers while he was in APC. The minors of his administration is not about Obaseki as a person. Obaseki is very cerebral, very intellectual. I'm passionate about the development of the state. So for me, as soon as the issue, my battle was not about Obaseki. But when I knew I didn't want to destroy or throw away the baby and the bathwater, what was important now was the survival of democracy in Edo State. We'll stop it, the godfather. We will stop the godfather. They've already been stopped anyway. I needed to do that. I needed to submit my 16-year struggle for Obaseki. Not for Obaseki, but for Edo people. Not for Edo people alone, but for Nigeria. We need a country that works. We need new beginning, a new nation, new Edo State. I think the platform that is being created in Edo now is a new era, new Edo, that Obaseki will have to lay the foundation and for professionals to come on board. You saw what we did yesterday. It was voluntarily. It was voluntary. I was the last man standing in opposition to Obaseki. I was not opposed to Obaseki. I was opposed to the mannerism. You must distinguish that. But when I saw in Obaseki that, look, yes, he promised me that, Ken, I'm going to do exactly what your vision is, what your expectations are for Edo people. As soon as I got that deal, and he gave me the promise that, look, he was going to make sure the poor people are taken care of, the schools are fixed, the roads are fixed, market women and traders, tailors are taken care of, organizers are taken care of. Don't forget, I belong to this group of people. I came from a poor home. I represent the poor. And Obaseki, though from an established bureaucratic family, I said to him, you promised me that you are going to do the following wise. I'm not going to step down. He crossed his heart. I said, can trust me. I'm going to deepen democracy. I'm going to make sure the economy of Edo work. I'm going to make sure crime is taken off the street. Our girls and boys are engaged. And as soon as I saw he was sincere, I said, okay, of course, there can only be one captain. There can't be two captains in the ship. So I would be there to lead attack. The attack will be piloted by
That's
me
not
and
right.
other Edo people for the new.
Yeah, if I can just come in now. I mean, that sounds really selfless of you saying that he has promised to take care of the women, the vulcanizers, basically the poor. And people will ask, what about you? How do you come into this equation? Shouldn't you be taken care of too? Was there any promise as to you being taken care of?
I can tell you no promise. People said I was giving money. Obaseki doesn't have any money to give me. I don't have, nobody can pay my price. I'm priceless because my price is the people. I'm not in politics. People ask me, Ken, what are you doing in politics? Why are you risking your life? These guys are dirty folks, and you're just a teacher, a lawyer, you are a good guy. You know, each time I travel to the States, each time I'm outside the country, Chamberlain, my dream is to make Nigeria in a country of pride. You know, I want to leave Nigeria better than I met it. That's my vision. My future, political future, is in the hands of God Almighty and Edo people and Nigerians. Not in Obaseki, not in anybody, but it's in God's hand. But Obaseki today is God's gift. Obaseki today is the answer to Edo people. He will win the election, and we'll be there to make sure he succeeds. We will not. I wouldn't take anything less than he must give good governance and improve on what he has done. At my age and at my experience and level in Nigeria, now what I owe God, my conscience, and Edo people, and even you, Chamberlain, look at people like you. Look at the good work you and John Momo, Seun Okibaloye, Mope, and all your colleagues in NTA, in AIT. Look at the great job you guys are doing. We need to fix our country now. The country must be fixed, whatever it takes. We must not be selfish about it. We must be pragmatic and really about the survival of democracy. We must deepen democracy in Nigeria. We must make Nigeria stronger, better than we make it. I think Obaseki is the new beginning for Edo State, Chamberlain.
You know, it's interesting the transition of this whole process. I recall that the point where you said God had promised that you were going to win this Gover polls, and then it moved on to the part where he said, well, you weren't going to step down at all. In fact, he said if you went to violence, if you got violence against you, you were not going to step down. And then here we are right now. But one thing you have said consistently, which you mentioned again today, is the fact that you believe the mannerism, the process that this followed was not right. Well, you promised that subsequently the process will be fixed, because as it stands, this is still built on that process which you have consistently criticized.
Yes, Chamberlain, absolutely. First, that God promised me. Yes, God does not lie. God promised me I'm going to be governor of Edo State. Certainly, I know so. I'm a Christian. I'm proudly a Christian. My Christian values are strong. They are not in doubt. Timing belongs to God. Time is of God. Time and season belongs to God. I wait for God's timing. Make no mistake about it. Obaseki is going to win by September 19th, 2020. But beyond that...
Pardon me, I didn't quite get that point. You said God promised you'll wait for God's time. Did you misinterpret God's time when you decided to throw your hat into the ring this time?
Yeah, look, a man must apply his moment to time. Timing is, no man has time in his hands. Man or men may play the dice. God determines the outcome of the dice. When I know I will be governor, I know Edo people want me to be governor. I know that, look, I have the passion, the heart, sincere heart. My heart is as clear as crystal for Edo people. Edo people knows that. My albatross have been the godfathers. But Obaseki now is leading the toga, the challenge. He's fighting the godfathers. This is the final war against the godfathers, like I said yesterday. From Port Harcourt to Kano, Kano to Zamfara, from Zamfara to Maiduguri, down to Lagos, to Abuja. We will fight the godfathers. We need a new beginning. It's our country first. Our country first. We must collaborate. All professionals, all Nigerians must come aboard. Let's save our country. Let's build a better country for our children, for our grandchildren. Let's leave Nigeria better than we met it. That is my struggle. Whether I'm governor or not, those are in the hands of God and the people. I will apply myself to God. I will apply myself to time, and my time and my hour of glory will come. I assure you. But now I'm focused to make sure that Obaseki wins, and he's going to win because he's done well. He's done well. This is a man who has been distracted. He's been fought, battered, but he's been resolute. Why I decided to give, I said, look, one, there were 4 cardinal reasons why I stepped down. Cardinal number 1, democracy. We must deepen democracy in Nigeria. Democracy is not about selfish interest. Cardinal number 2, or point number 2, about Obaseki's ability to do the job. This guy is sound. He's cerebral. He's an intellectual. You know, he can take on conversation. I took on him. I took on Obaseki. I'm one of the boldest human beings in the world. If you know me, I fear no man.
You've said these amazing, lofty things about Governor Obaseki, and you say he's the right person now, but you were going to contest against him because he was on a different platform.
Yeah, I mean, it's politics.
You should have answered that, but hey. And it's a trend we've seen in both parties, especially candidates that were there before complaining bitterly, you know, saying that, well, we've been here for years. I mean, okay, we couldn't get it 4 years ago, we couldn't get it 8 years ago, and you said we'll get it this time around, and we've, you know, put in a lot of resources, a lot of time, and here we are right now. Yes, he's saying that he has gotten a promise that the governor will take care of the poor, women, the vulcanizers, he'll build roads, and what have you. But, you know, in politics, there are some other considerations that come on board besides some of these governance issues.
One of those considerations being God, because he's not the only one that's mentioned God in his political aspirations.
Like you said, God's time is the best.
Oh, really? This is very interesting. Okay, in all of this, I mean, one thing continues to play prominently for me, and that is the role that politics is playing in governance and how effectively that tells on the people's lives. In all of the conversations that we have had about all this politicking in Edo State, on both sides of the divide, APC or PDP, for me, the crucial thing remains the people. How we factor them in is what is crucial. Sincerely.
How what?
How we factor them in to governance, how we ensure that it's good governance, they don't have to wait long to get the proverbial dividends of democracy.
It's not going to drop on anybody's laps. They've got to ensure that they do something about it. I mean, yes, so, what will be maybe, but not when people sit down and fold their arms.
So the people have a role.
They have a huge role to play, not just a role. Look at what's happening. Are the politicians sleeping? They're fighting for their slot. So the people should equally do the same thing. Well, we're back in a moment, guys. Join us again. All right, welcome back. Well, let's see. Okay, well, there are a number of responses now as to as to some of the issues which you raised. Well, Olusegun says, well, the man sitting in the studio, I don't know which of the men now, it's economical with the truth that the APC secretariat is locked down when the president is to be attending the meeting. That's what Olusegun thinks.
Well, there was one before that, which you saw earlier, that gave an explanation. But you wonder, is that the official APC's, position regarding why the NEC meeting held at the villa, saying that it was held because of the existing and tested facilities to support a Zoom meeting of that magnitude.
So the secretary doesn't have existing and tested facilities?
You wonder.
Okay. Kola Olebanwo says, your guests are just being disingenuous. Every politician knows that preparation for the next election begins as soon as one ends. That is reality.
Well, Idris Shehu says, on the NEC meeting held yesterday, I believe the president's suggestions and the adoption is the right step in saving the soul of the party, just as he did when he kicked against tenure extension of the Oyegun's NWC that paved the way for the Oshomole's NWC then. Oh.
You know the interesting thing? It was about this time, 2 years ago, that the former chairman of the former national chairman, Comrade Adams Oshomole, came into power. It's the same month, actually, 2 years ago. And you wonder what happens next. Will the chairmanship go to his his zone again, because I mean his zone had 4 years, 2 years. Then I mean there's meant to be some 2 years more. You wonder what the agreement will be generally, but it's just the timing, the fact that exactly this period 2 years ago was when he came into office.
There's this interesting one. The outgoing national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Chief Honorable Victor Giedom, guess what? Is his tweet. He says, accept the decision of the National Executive Committee dissolving the National Working Committee in the interest of the party. So he therefore calls on all his colleagues to accept the decision of the National Executive Committee dissolving the NWC. So
That's a press statement right there.
from his own view, you can see that he's referring to himself as the former national chairman. In that capacity, he acted.
You know,
So-
there were statements people made, calling some people
There you go.
Supreme Court governors and all that. So would you say this is a court chairman also?
Well, the Constitution only recognizes governors. So if whatever adjective they use, according to the law, he's a governor. But by the way, I think he'll be handing over by between 12 and 1 today to the Mai Malabuni-led team. So there you go. That is the show today. We thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I'm Kayode Okikele.
I'm Ayo Makide. Please do stay safe. COVID-19 is real. Have a wonderful weekend.